So my initial thoughts on Wuthering Waves is it's good. I think it's pretty good. I think it has more potential than a lot of games on the market, and we'll start there. Let's start with that. Um, if you've played Genshin, and I'm going to try really hard to not compare it to that game or any other game, I'm just going to say if you've played it, a lot of the systems are going to be familiar to you, which I think is a very good thing for a lot of people, something that is very familiar. The one thing that it does have a leg up on a lot of games is I think it has the most satisfying combat out of any of these gacha type games. It is so much fun. I think it's by far the best part of the game, and I think they should continue to focus on that. However, there are some things about the game that are just off. Like, I don't know, the storytelling's a little bit off, the performance is off. All of these things are fixable, by the way. There's just some things with when you play the game that I'm having some technical issues that are all fixable. So this isn't a deterrent or anything. I'm just going to state that they're there. Like, I'm having some performance issues even on a high-end PC. I know a lot of people are complaining about it on mobile, but I'm thinking that all of these are fixable. They're not anything worth the game is unplayable by any means. It's very playable. I've only had a few issues with one or two crashes, so that's good. And on like the side of things, a lot of games start out like this, not saying that's acceptable, and these are all things that will probably be fixed relatively soon. And they've been very generous with their compensation, saying, hey look, there's some issues with the game, here's some free pulls for you to do. So everyone loves that. I bet more people would wish there's more technical issues because of that. But on the other side, that I think's sort of a negative, but I'm okay with it, is the storytelling. And they kind of just like dump a cold bucket of water on you and just like, here's all of these things. It doesn't have that hook, like, why am I playing? All it does is kind of throw out all these terms at you and throws a bunch at you right away, very early. And you're just like, why do I care about any of this? Why does this mean anything to me? There's no hook that gets me sunk in right away. Just the first couple hours of the story. It does get a lot better after that, but it just kind of just throws a bunch at you to build this world that you haven't yet cared about. And, you know, for a lot of people, they might never care about the story, but I can appreciate what they're doing because they have some fantastic world building set up. So after the intro, I'm sure it will get a lot better. I want to say I'm at Union rank 20 and I'm on like Act 4 or 5 of 6 of the story. So I've played the fair amount of story. I'm just saying the intro's sort of the weaker part where it's muddled down by throwing all of these jargon at you, but it does get a lot better. And they have it set up so that they can build this fantastic world, not just in the like immediate future, but like a long time down the road. So I can appreciate what they're doing. So for those of you who are a little bit worried about that, it does get better. And I'm just thinking they're setting up for the future. I just think they kind of introduced it all at once. I gave you too much to care about. And I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. It's essentially the same thing as just, let's rip the band-aid off and like get over it. But it can be a little bit daunting at first, but I think it's a good thing. Other than that, the world exploration is really fun. I love the puzzles. They have these domain challenges things, and if I use not Wuthering Waves, I'm sorry, but I just mean like an instance dungeon. But they have it where it becomes this like 2D Mario game, which it transitions from this 3D world into this 2D Mario platform jumper, which is super cool. I really loved it. It's a very good change and twist on the formula. I love that. And it just builds on a lot of this open world aspects that they have. And then they give you all these tools. Like, I'm going to try very hard to not compare it to Genshin Impact, but there are tools in Genshin, like the Sumeru, where you can, like, what would it be, grapple between a lot of these pions easily and just like swing your way across. That's already built into the world of Wuthering Waves. They took a lot of systems that other games took years to build, and then they're like, that's really good. Let's use that in our game. And they just have the building blocks of a great foundation right off the bat. And one of my other favorite things is that you can just do world exploration wall running. Like you can just sprint straight up a vertical wall if you want. You don't have to worry about climbing it. And it's like a really fun feature. And I just want to say the game has more potential than what it's putting out for. If I gave it a score right now, it's like a 7 out of 10, maybe a 6 out of 10, but it has the potential to be better than everything else on the market, which I think is like a very good thing. The world itself, like the environments, I love the environments. They're very aesthetically pleasing. It's a darker feel than a lot of other games out there, and not just in like the tones of things, but in like the direction that the game is in, and like the color schemes and everything. It's not colorful, it's not very vibrant, it's a very dark feeling game, which I personally love the aesthetic for. Character designs, I like the character designs. It's a very subjective thing. I do like the character designs of other games more, but these are very good characters. I did mention about it previously, but the combat, I think the combat's the best part of the game. It's very limited for me right now because I've only gotten, I think the game gives you 3 free characters, and then I got 3 others that I've tried out, so I'm limited on who I've tried. But with the 6, it's very satisfying. I love the quick swapping of things and the parrying, and it's almost like a Dark Souls, Devil May Cry like combat. I don't want to say it's too much like Dark Souls, it's not as challenging or hard, but the dodging and the parrying mechanics that have, and then it's just Devil May Cry fast action, let's get after it action combat game, which it's a very nice change of pace for a lot of gacha games. I'm definitely going to stick with it for a little bit longer for sure. Don't know how long. I'm going to kind of watch and see what happens with some of these bug fixes. It's not anything I would spend any money on, and I'm not ever planning on spending any money on. I'm going to be completely free to play in this game until things prove otherwise. I just think it's a very good foundation, and I think anyone who is looking to take a break from other gacha type games, or just looking for a game that's very fun, and that's kind of the reason I look for it in the first place, of an off game to play or a game to play during queues of other games, I think this is a very good game to play. It's very fun, it's very enjoyable. You can ignore some of the systems and just have fun with it, or you can dive deep into it and just like fully immerse yourself in it. I'm personally just going to play for like the dailies and the story as it comes out, and see where it goes from there. One other thing I want to note about the game that I currently have a little bit of a gripe with, well, not a really gripe with, but like one thing that I don't really enjoy with it is the English voice acting feels a little bit weird. The JP version's a lot better. I just don't know if that's because other games just have fantastic voice acting, or if it just feels like an afterthought in this game, but it doesn't feel like the characters have as much life to them as other games, and that's certainly something that can be improved on for sure. And maybe it's just because they have so much world building and so much things that they have to like cram in this amount of time to try to get you to understand everything, that it takes away from some of the voice acting work. And I'm not trying to say that any of these voice actors are bad, I'm just saying it just isn't quite up to the standard that I'm used to, and maybe that's just because other games have prioritized it so much more, but it's one of those things that just felt a little bit off to me. There is a lot of people out there that are being like, this game is awful, I can't believe all this and yada yada yada, you should go play it. I'm just like, I'm not going to compare it to anything else. I think it's good. When you look at it at face value, you should be able to see the potential that it has, and that it's a very solid game, and it's got a very solid foundation, and I kind of want to focus on that part. So yeah, those are kind of my initial thoughts on Wuthering Waves. I probably won't be covering it too much more in the future. I'm just covering it now because like I think it's a very important thing to do, and then we can do a retrospective in a couple weeks of maybe it's turned out to be a great game and they fixed everything. So looking forward to that. But as always, I hope you have a great day.